All right. Without further ado, let's get started. We are the Radicubs Robotics. And so a little bit about us is that we are a third-year community robotics team. And so what this means is we serve multiple schools rather than just one. And so the beauty of this is a lot of teams just serve students at their own school, and so they aren't really able to reach out into the community. Well, since we are a community team, we reach out to students all across our district, and that makes us advantageous when going for a lot of the outreach awards. Currently, we have 13 members. We had, I believe, 18 this past year, but then we had our seniors graduate, and so now we're at 13 members. We are completely student-led, and we've also had a lot of big awards in the past, such as the Rookie All-Star win, which is the highest award you can get as a first-year team. We've been highest rookie seed twice. We won the Rookie Inspiration Award, and then finally last year we won the Entrepreneurship Award.
Okay, so next we're going to talk about team structure. So our team structure is pretty simple. So at the top, we have a 3-captain system, and that consists of 2 senior captains, which is Samrat and I, and then 1 junior captain, which is Anand. He isn't here right now. Then the rest of the team is really, they can choose whatever field they want to work in, and that is, they can choose from mechanical, programming, and business. Usually during off season, you can choose like multiple different fields just to test out how they're going to be. But then during season, we usually want to stick to one primary field. And then we do have multiple mentors, but due to our unique team structure, our mentors aren't actually working on the robot with us. They only like come and help us when we ask for it.
All right, so for our values revolve around the image of an ideal team.
There we go. So our team, how we imagine our team is going to be both successful, and we also wanted to develop meaningful relationships with each other. So therefore, our values are going to be hard work, dedication, and companionship.
Okay, now for the business team. So the business team is responsible for 3 central activities throughout the year. During off-season, the business team is tasked with creating our financial plan and updating our financial documents. Secondly, the team must collectively search for sponsorships and grants through the use of cold calling and meetings with nearby companies. And then lastly, mostly during season, the business team collaborates on completing the necessary requirements for multiple different awards.
All right, so for the programming team, if you've programmed before, it's relatively simple. If you know your object-oriented programming, this is not very hard. We primarily use Java. There are other languages supported for programming the robots, such as C++ and Python, but Java seems to be what everyone knows. So we use Java. We also mess around with the electrical board a bit. And then in order to program the robot, we use a library known as WPI-lib. And that is that's like the standard library every team uses in order to interact with the robot. And then some other skills you might learn during your time programming with us would be source control with GitHub or using the command line interface.
All right, so for Mech Team, in off-season, Mech Team doesn't really have much of a role in the team because Mech Team is mostly building the robot, and off-season, we don't really build the robot. So Mech Team in off-season will be mostly just workshops, learning how to actually use the tools and just like the simple basics of engineering. So it basically gives you like a taste of how the Mech Team will perform when it is on season. Now, on season, we look at different aspects of engineering. We use tools in order to create our robot. Over the season, the members of our team will learn how to make the robot. These skills would include like looking at pneumatic systems, We'll look at different subsystems like the elevators, shooters, arm movements. We will also look at how to make the basis of a robot, which is the chassis. And basically the overall goal of the mech team is going to have the members to safely learn and create a robot from scratch.
All right, so for tryouts this year, we don't have a set date on when we're going to do them, but we were probably going to do them toward the middle or end of August. Tryouts will be relatively simple. It'll most likely just be a Zoom meeting. I guess a 3-on-1 or a 2-on-1 Zoom meeting with you. So it'll be like 2 or 3 of the captains with you, and it'll just be like an interview just to know how well you fit with our values and what your intentions are for joining this team, how you'll contribute to this team, etc. I think the most important thing to get across during the interviews is if you follow our core values. So if you're hardworking, if you're dedicated, and if you have that sense of companionship. And that's about all the information I have right now for interviews, for tryouts. We'll be sending out an email later in the month or maybe next month regarding tryouts, and then how you can sign up for a tryout slot. And then we also have some pictures for y'all to look at from season. So this is just some of the work that we have done in season. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work as well. You'll see the fun times, such as the top left picture. They were just 3 of our members were just in a blanket. And then you'll see a lot of work as well. We do a lot of outreach. We do a lot of building. We do a lot of programming. It's a lot of fun. Here are some more pictures from our recent competition. And then if you notice, even if you're in the stands, there's still a lot of work for you to do, because since we are on the better side of teams, there's a very good chance we'll become alliance captains. And what that means is we have to pick 2 other robots to join us in each of the matches. And so if you're in the stands, what you're most likely doing is scouting out other teams to join you. All right, and with that said, now we'll answer any questions that y'all may have. Y'all can ask them in the chat. All right, so Parthiv asked, when does competition season start? So there's 2 main blocks, I would say. The first block is what we call preseason, and that's all the time we have to prepare before build season. And so in preseason, what we do is we fundraise money, and we train y'all, and then we recruit new members. And then we have build season, and that's when we do the main building and programming of the robot. And so preseason happens from June-ish to December, and then build season starts from January to March or April, depending on how far we get into competition.
Okay, and Drew is asking, so how are we going to work around COVID this year? So as an FRC team, I think during off season, how we would work around is pretty simple. We would be using Zoom instead of actually meeting in person to accomplish all of our and then I think it'll largely depend on how how COVID is during that December, January time, just in the beginning of season, and that might delay our entire season. I think if COVID has that large of an impact at that time, FRC would just close its competition entirely, because other teams wouldn't be able to meet up either.
Yeah, so just to expand a little bit, what I think is going to happen, at least with COVID, is there's a chance that our build season will get delayed, so it'll happen later in the year rather than in January. It just depends on how COVID is progressing. The other thing is Texas is honestly doing worse than every other state. And so what might happen is build season might get canceled, which is kind of unfortunate for the seniors at least. Yeah. And so, yeah, and then at least for preseason with COVID, as Ronit mentioned, yeah, we'll have like online meetings. We actually use Slack as our primary medium of communication. So we have Slack calls and stuff every week. And at least for like fundraising and stuff, I know companies aren't doing like the greatest right now. So that's why we are delaying like, when we're reaching out to companies more towards like the fall, when things might have just calmed down a bit and companies are starting to gain traction again.
Yeah, I wanted to add, during season, it's a pretty big time commitment. So I think it's like 2.5 months would be the season. So during that season period, like each week, people would be putting in anywhere from like 12 to 15 hours, which sounds like quite a bit. But like we do have time for doing homework and everything, but I think that's certainly a fact to keep in mind.
And like, if you're worried about like the time management and stuff like that, well, we actually prepare you like in like the weeks leading up. So right now we have like one meeting a week. Closer to like September or October, we'll have like 2 meetings a week. And then in November, December, we'll try for 3 meetings a week. Obviously, we don't encourage you to actually come to every single meeting because that would be really unhealthy for you. We encourage you to take a break every once in a while because we're humans, we need breaks. And so I wouldn't be too worried about the time commitment because you will be prepared for it, and your time management will be fine. Pranav asked, does every member work on the business side during off season? Would you like to answer that?
Okay. Yeah, okay, I'll answer that. So yes, to an extent. So after the business team essentially creates like the financial plan and all of those documents, we know what our goal is and how much money we need for the season. So then once we've then at that step, like then the entire team comes in and we just try to find as many sponsorships, as many grants, as many companies as possible. And then like the entire team is just helping at that point to get as much money as possible.
And I would like to mention that not all of our meetings like during off season are for like finances specifically. We try to split up our meetings between like training y'all for the skills y'all need for season and like finances, because like obviously fundraising is important, but we also need y'all to be like knowledgeable of like what to do during build season. Any other questions? All right. Danny asked, are there any prerequisites or skills you would look for future members? Rana, do you want to answer some?
Yep, sure. So there aren't really any prerequisites to join the team. I mean, like Samrat said earlier, we're really just looking for the commitment and the dedication and your hard work. That's pretty much the most of it. And if you do have any skills, like any advanced mechanical or engineering skills or any advanced business or programming skills, that would be like, that would just be a plus, honestly.
Yeah, so skills are just a plus. Some of our most like successful members on the team have been those who just have like the largest passions, not necessarily the ones that are the most skilled. Drew asked, how many members are you looking to add? So as of right now, we have 13 members. We don't have a specific cap on the members we're looking to like add, or like we don't have like a rough cap, but like we would like to we would like for the team to like stay below like 25, just because after 25 it gets really hard to manage. And so yeah, so at the max we're looking around like 12-ish, 12, 13 more members. But yeah, I wouldn't say like making the team go beyond 25 members is just a little beyond us right now.
Okay, I think we'll stick on a bit longer if you have any more questions. But don't forget, you guys can just shoot us an email if you have any further questions, like after the meeting. Um, and yeah, we'll be sure to answer that. And then keep updated with your email, because we're probably going to send more information for tryouts soon. So